of all, there's so many things wrong here. Like, I'm getting heated just for calling this story. I'm getting heated. Hi everybody, it's Lorena. Welcome back to my channel. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about an experience that I had here in Korea after, especially during the corona pandemic. So I thought there would be a good opportunity to do a story time. I'm gonna incorporate this in my being black in Korea. Like, I'm gonna probably create a series or something because it's just so much to talk about. So I thought maybe I would break up some of the information into segments. And so this is my story time about how me and my friends, we almost got kicked out of a hotel during the corona pandemic. So I thought I would share this story time because it's probably, so far being here over a year, this is my most overt, like, this is probably the worst case of discrimination and racism that I've experienced in Korea so far. So I thought it would be, important to share it. Before I get into the story, I'm gonna just do all my disclaimers for all the trolls who feel triggered by the, things that I say in terms of being black in Korea. So I'm gonna do my disclaimers now. First thing I have to say is I love living in Korea, and being in Korea is awesome. I'm not trying to bash Korea in any way. I'm not trying to make Korea seem like a horrible place. And obviously not every Korean is horribly racist or racist. So I just want to make that disclaimer right then and there. Again, of course, these things happen everywhere, especially during the corona pandemic. And I understand people's apprehension, especially in terms of interacting with foreigners, because obviously COVID has hit the Western countries a lot harder, and the response to COVID, especially in like the States, is not the same. And I know that a lot of Asians have experienced a lot of racism and discrimination because of corona pandemic. I understand all of that, and I am not trying to delegitimize other people's experiences. I'm just highlighting my own experience. I'm speaking from my own experience living in Korea, so that's all I can speak on. I can't speak on anything else. But certain responses that I got in my last video, I just feel like I have to come on here and make even more disclaimers than I usually do, because I'm not trying to target Korea or Koreans. I'm not trying to say they're horribly racist, but I'm just sharing my experience of being a black woman in Korea. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I know that discrimination has happened everywhere, and I know what Asians are going through, especially like in America and other places right now, other places in the world, in terms of the COVID pandemic. I know that they've been receiving a lot of hate and a lot of racist discrimination. But without further ado, let me get into this story time about how these people almost kicked us out of a hotel because we were black. So let's start. So it was maybe, I would say, a few months ago, and it was the four of us. So two of my friends are Asian American, and me and my other friend who's African American. So it was the four of us. We had gotten a hotel room for just for a day, just to have like a nice little staycation. And we looked up different hotels, and we got like the penthouse suite, and it was really really nice stuff, you know what I mean? Just friends hanging out, wanting to have a good time. We can't really travel much, so we decided, okay, let's get a hotel room, let's just have a good time, let's just chill or whatever. So that's what we did. We got a hotel room for the night, and it was the penthouse suite, so the most expensive room that you could get in the hotel. So each of us, coming from different parts of Seoul, we all got to the hotel at different times. So when we first initially checked in, there were no issues, right? We just checked in normally. Then so me and one of my other friends, we left for a split second. So we leave, and I noticed this woman sitting on this couch in the lobby area of the hotel. So I'm just walking out normally, and I see that she gives me one of those like foul looks. Those looks that people give you, and I'm just like, okay. But I didn't know who she was, so it was whatever. Like, I'm like, you want to look at me some type of way, that's totally not my problem. So but when I was walking out, I saw her give me one of those like up and down, like kind of those filthy stares that people give you. So I did notice that, kind of cataloged it somewhere in the back of my head. I didn't really pay much attention. I'm like, whatever. So I would step with my friend, and the other friend that I step out with, she was one of the Asian Americans. So we step out, I'm specifying race in this context because of the context of the story, because it has to do with race and discrimination. I don't, so that's why I'm referring to her as my Asian American friend. I have to specify because we are talking about race in this context. But anyway, I walk out. So we're walking out, and the last friend hadn't got to the hotel yet. So that's my African American friend. She hasn't got there yet. So as we're out and about, and we get a call from the first friend who was in the hotel room already. Apparently somebody who's the manager came and asked for our passports. Now, upon checking in, we weren't required to show passports. We have Korean residency because of our, we have like an alien registration card, and this is our form of identification in the country. So there weren't any disclaimers, or there weren't any like requirements to have passport upon checking in. So none of us had our passports with us. So she was like, oh, she needs our passports because we're American, so she needs our passports. So this was the first kind of red alarm. This person saying that they need our passports. And it turns out that the woman who gave me that filthy look while we were walking out of the hotel is the manager. So I had no idea. She didn't even seem like a manager. She was just lounging on the couch. Like, I thought it was a person who was staying at the hotel, but she was the manager. And now, they didn't say anything before, but upon seeing me, after she saw me and gave me that dirty look that she did, not even 10 minutes later, she's calling, talking about she needs passports from all of us. They wanted to see when we came into the country, because if we were American, COVID and everything like that. So they were afraid, because we were American, they were afraid that we recently came into the country and stuff like that. So they didn't want us to give them COVID. That's basically the moral of the story. So I was like, okay, but I already peeped this dirty look that you gave me, and okay. Now, I know that when you go in and out of countries, they stamp your passport. Now, I only have one stamp, that is the stamp for the visa when I first came to the country. I've been in and out of Korea at least twice since I've been here, going back and forth to America, and nowhere in my passport is it stamped. So I was like, even if they were to check my passport out, all they would see is that initial stamp from the visa that I got to come here. They're not going to see anything else. And at first my friend was like, oh, they do stamp your passport, but I checked my passport and I'm like, I don't have any stamps that showed the 2 times since I've lived here, the 2 times that I've gone from America to Korea. I have never gotten my passport stamped. So I was kind of upset there. I was already triggered, because I'm like, even if I show you my passport at this point, it's not going to show you anything. It's not going to show you when I've came in and out of the country. Not every country you visit, they stamp your passport. So I was pressed, already triggered, but I was controlling myself. Obviously, I don't speak Korean, so I can't defend myself the way I feel like I should, because So okay, so we're making our way back to the hotel, because now it's a problem. Now none of us have our passports, and I'm like, well, I have a picture of my passport if you want to see that, but that's not the point. They didn't want to make sure we had passports. They wanted to see when we've come in and out of the country, but none of us had our passports. So I was really upset about that. I'm like, I feel like I didn't claim that it was racism yet. I just felt like, oh, after she gave me this filthy look, then now she wants to check what room we're from, and then she goes to the room asking for all our passports. So I felt like she was looking for some sort of issue. Okay, so now my other friend hadn't gotten in yet. So this is the African American friend. She hadn't checked in yet. So I told her, wait, let's all go in together, because now they're giving problems about a passport. So we go in, and so now they're giving issues. So my friend was telling them, like, okay, she was Chinese American, but she told them, oh, I'm Korean American, like, we're all American, we're all English teachers, we all live in Seoul, like, none of us have been to America during the pandemic, so, like, what's the issue? We have our registration card, which is our ID card. We have this is our form of identification. Anything that we need in the country, this is the form of identification that you present. You only use your passport if you don't have your registration card. So I was just really confused, but they weren't trying to listen. So me and my friend, so we go upstairs. So it's the Asian friend is the one who's talking, because she's the one who speaks Korean the best. So she's communicating with the people at the front desk. And then at some point they tell her, yeah, we understand. So they understood that she and my other Asian American friends, oh, you guys are Korean American, you're okay. So this is where, okay, you undeniably, this is overt racism, discrimination. They were like, you two are okay. It's the other two, the two African American, the two black people, they need to show their passports. So when my friend told me this, I was like, what do you mean? If we're all American, if we're in a world where there's no racism, if we're all American and you are suspecting that maybe we have been exposed to the coronavirus in America, and I get that because America is doing horribly with the virus. If that was the case, if it was a case of that it wasn't racism, why wouldn't you require a passport from the four of us? No, they wanted a passport from the two black people. So I'm just like, are you kidding me? At that point, I was upset. If this were to happen, not to say that America, disclaimer, not to say that America is a perfect place. We all know America is horribly racist. But if this was to happen in America, people would be pulling out phones, they would be recording, because now this is just overt discrimination and racism. You're telling the two Asians that you don't need to see their passports. Yeah, you guys are okay. Is how you guys are okay. Is those two, the two black people, we need to see their passports. And I'm just like, are you serious? Like, we're all Americans, so if the issue was of us being American and of seeing who was exposed to the coronavirus, you would need to see passports from the four of us. But because these two are saying that they're Korean American, you're saying that they're okay. But if it was an issue of you being scared of COVID, we would all have been exposed to COVID whether or not we were Asian or black. But you needed to see the two black people's passport. So that was just, I was just so horribly disgusted. I'm like, all right, so if we don't have our passport, and even if you did see my passport, you wouldn't get any information from it. I wanted to. You come to spend. First of all, there's so many things wrong here. Like, I'm getting heated just recalling this story. I'm getting heated, but it's like, are you serious? Like, it's not like the hotel business is booming at this time of, like, during this pandemic. So you actually are lucky enough to get people to come and stay at your establishment. But now you're overtly discriminating against two black people, even though they're in a party of four, and your claim is that it's because we're American, this is why you're doing all of this. So the guy was telling my friend, at some point, my friend was getting upset, of course, and so she's telling him, like you cannot deny the racism there. So my friend was getting heated, because it's like, it's disgusting, really. And he's trying, you know how people try to placate or whatever, but he's trying to say something, and he even offered, like, oh, we'll even give you, if it's a problem, like, we'll give you your money back and things like that. And at that point, I'm not gonna lie, I was ready to dip. That was before I would say that my experience with racism in Korea was very mild. Like, I said, it was very, like, microaggressions. It's not overt racism, but this was the most, like, obvious racism. Like, they were like, we'll even give you all your money back, like, if there's a problem. But ultimately, the situation worked itself out. And I know some people would have just left, and I kind of wanted to leave. I'm like, why the hell do I want to stay and give you my money when you don't even want me here in the first place? And I was just recalling that stank woman who was just sitting on the couch, and she was giving me filthy looks before she even knew what the heck the situation was. She was already giving me dirty looks, and I noticed it and cataloged it in the back of my mind. But obviously, us staying at that hotel was a problem, because as soon as we left, she probably went to go figure out, like, oh, who's that? Oh, where are they staying? She went to the room and she went to go ask my friend, we need all y'all passports. And then the situation became, but we need the two black people's passports. You guys are okay. You guys are Korean American. You guys are okay, but we need their passports. That was so horrible. I mean, we eventually stayed. Like, we stayed. And sometimes I wish I didn't. Like, I should have just got my money back. But the place was outside of Seoul, and we all wanted to just have a good time together. But that was just so horrible. Like, and then he told us, like, make sure you guys keep your masks on at all times and all that stuff. Like, okay, we're in our hotel room. We're in a room. We're not hanging out in the hotel, like, we're not walking around the hotel lobby with the intention of spreading coronavirus. And it's so crazy because we all live in Seoul, so we haven't even been to America during the pandemic. So it's just crazy. Like, if you want to be fair First of all, if you want to be fair, you should be checking everyone's passport who comes to check in at the hotel if you're afraid of COVID. If you're afraid of COVID, then everybody who walk in, you should be like passport upon entry, because we need to check, like Koreans haven't been traveling. We need to check who's coming in and out of the country. Anyone can come and bring COVID in. It's not just the Americans. I understand that America with the COVID cases, I get it. But if they was to ask everyone for their passports, then you can make that case. Or even in our group, the 4 of us, if they asked all 4 of us for our passports, then yeah, I can make that case. But they were like, we 2 black folk, we need y'all passports. That's just racist. You know what I'm saying? And you know, these type of things happen, especially like it's been difficult for foreigners because of coronavirus. Like, you know, I'm sure this is not the only story, but this is my experience and I had to share it. Like, yo, people are freak, like, you guys are ridiculous. Like, just thinking about it. And I remember I was telling, I'd explained this story to a Korean and I was telling them, like, this happened to me while I was trying to go to a hotel recently. And they were like, what? You didn't record those people? Like, that's horribly racist. And it is. Like, you're gonna specifically discriminate against the 2 black people for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just wanted to share the story time. I'm getting myself a little upset, like, just recalling this memory. But, you know, obviously, like I said, let's throw the disclaimers back in for all the trolls. You know, every Korean is not racist, but let's not pretend that racism does not exist here. I'm not saying that other people are not going through things in other parts of the world, but like I said, this is Lorena's experience in Korea, so this is what I'll speak on. But, you know, I just wanted to share the story time because story times are always interesting. Spilling tea is always interesting, but it's important to know personal encounters of what people go through on a day-to-day basis here, and coronavirus has not helped in terms of race relations at all. So I thought I would share. So don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can know anytime I upload a video. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram name is itslorenatatia, and I'll be doing more Black in Korea videos. I think I'll create a series on my channel because so much encompasses being Black in Korea, and this is just a story time. So you know, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.